first ever Warden's Debate for the MRC Pontiac. I want to start off by thanking the audience for coming. Great turnout. Really exciting to see so many people who are interested in municipal politics. Also want to thank Pontiac High School and Principal Deborah Stevens. They've been really generous giving us this space. In case you didn't notice, there are two donation jars out front for the school's auditorium project, so if you could give generously, and it's much appreciated. I'd also like to thank the candidates for coming out. Tonight, we're going to try and keep it as tight as possible just to get you guys home at a reasonable hour. So the format for tonight's debate, there's going to be 7 total questions. We're going to start with each candidate making a 2-minute opening statement. Each candidate has 90 seconds to answer each question. After all of the candidates have answered each question, there will be a brief 2-minute rebuttal period. So if anyone's name is invoked, they can respond, things like that. And once all of the questions have been asked, all 7 of them, there's going to be a 2-minute closing statement. We're going to be extremely strict on the time limits. So after 1 minute and 20 seconds, if you look over here, we have Stuart McFarland waving. He's our timer. So at 1 minute and 20 seconds, his arm will go up. And at 1 minute and 30, it'll go down, and the bell will ring and your time is up. So I also want to thank Stuart and his colleague David Sauve back there, 2 Pontiac High School students who are helping us out with this. And so this is an English language debate. We've solicited questions from our readers. And also, the washrooms are just out this door, on your left through the glass doors, and on your right, just in case anyone needs facilities. So to start things off, we're going to determine the order by drawing names out of a hat. Each candidate's name is in here, so I'll bring Stuart up here. So he will get an audience member to draw names, and we're going to have a little game of musical chairs up here. So whoever's name gets drawn first, they'll go on the furthest to the left, and so on and so forth. So on the far left, we'll get Mr. DeRoche. The audience is left. So who is the second name drawn? Pierre Frechette will be sitting on Mr. DeRoche's left. Who's the third?
Linda Davis.
Linda Davis will be sitting to Pierre Frechette's left. Next we'll have who was the fourth name drawn? Jane Toller, and then there we go. So the order's set.
Did you close the order? No, I didn't. Sorry,
We didn't consider the water. Okay, so first question for you, Mr. DeRoche. The MRC Pontiac is one of the very poorest in Quebec. What measures?
Excuse me, are we not doing the introduction first?
So, Mr. DeRoche?
Don't want me to talk about the MRC then. Good evening, everybody. Everybody knows my name. Madame Rocher. I am born and raised in the Pontiac. Came back to my roots about 30 years ago. I got involved in medical, health, and emergency measures. And everybody knows me very closely. My passion is Quebec municipal politics. I always stood in front of the people and tried to do my best and be honest about it and defend the issues for the MRC Pontiac for the last 26 years. I'm engaged with the people, I talk to the people, and I work for the people. The best mandate I ever had in municipal politics was the last 4 years, because I am the standing warden, and I'm the guy that called it for a general suffrage election. There's a new role at the MRC, a government of proximity. This role is really needed in our region for a lot of aspects. And we also have a strategic plan. A strategic plan that evolved from public consultation, and it's been modified over the years. But those modifications is to attempt to do something better and even more for the MRC Pontiac. I don't have all the solutions. I have a lot of vision, and I'm willing to work for it. One thing is, everybody must know, an elected warden, or just like now, does not have the final say at the MRC. 18 elected officials decides. The power of the warden is to enact and create the motions, bylaws, or vision that 18 elected officials put on the table. I could have all the greatest ideas, but I don't have the final say. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Jeff Bishop, Rankin Mid Island, newly adopted child of the Pontiac. I've been around with the Pontiac folks for the last 18 years. I've been I own a place on the island for the last 9 years. I'm retired and am now, as I said, adopted child of the region. My view is one of unification, one of the future. One that says that basically we have to work together, that you as member of the population have a say as to what the Pontiac will look like over the next 4 years and beyond. You're all part of the process to make this historic vote work. You have to make a choice that will be based on one's possibility and views and vision of the future for the Pontiac. We are partners in this endeavor. 18 municipalities that have to work in a unison voice, a way that we will see things go forward. I have said it before, I'm not going to overpromise and underdeliver, but my background is basically in management, and I've been involved with policies in many ways over my career. You can read it from the document that you received. I have faith in the Pontiac. I have ambition for the Pontiac. But I need the support of the population, as we would all if we were to be voted in as warden, in order to make things work. So I am confident that all the partnerships that we can develop within the Pontiac, as well outside the Pontiac, will be bringing us growth and interest to the region. Our latest addition, M. Fortin being appointed as a minister. This is the best opportunity for us, because I'm sure today people were Googling who the heck is Andre Fortin and what the heck is Pontiac. So we got a window of opportunity. This is just great.
Dear neighbors, my name is Linda Davis. In 2011, I became a resident of Clarendon, and I would now like to present to you the different skills and experience that I could bring to work for you. I believe that the community can be better served by its regional government. I believe that we can bring together more employment opportunities here. I worked as a federal contract negotiator, and I was a former City of Ottawa regional councillor. I know that there are many resources that are available to us to call upon to help us. My experience as a regional councillor from 1994 to 2001, I was the director of the Ottawa Children's Aid Society. I was vice chair and commissioner of OC Transpo. I was a member of the Ottawa Carleton Economic Development Corporation, a federal contract negotiator, lieutenant governor of Kiwanis for Eastern Canada and the Caribbean. And then after I left politics, I created my own company, Davis Consulting, of which I'm a president. I was a member of the Westboro Business Improvement Area, which was a part of the area that I represented of 26,000 residents that's immediately adjacent to the Champlain Bridge. As I bring forward to you, some people have asked, well, you know, you've come from a big city, but transportable skills are actually what I can bring and offer to the Pontiac. I have worked in so many different levels of problems within a municipality The municipality and the Pontiac, it's not unique in a sense that oftentimes there are conflicting views in terms of where development should go, in terms of where funds should be allocated. That was pretty much what you had happening in the city of Ottawa, that people were very concerned that Canada was getting most of the development and Orleans wasn't. So I've sat on a council where we managed to work it out through consensus, and we managed to negotiate and find where our priorities needed to be, which is what I believe that the Pontiac needs right now. I also, as a federal contract negotiator, I've actually awarded millions of dollars in contracts, and I thank you very much for your time.
Good evening. I'm not running for a job, I'm running to create jobs. My priority is to revitalize the entire Pontiac region and lead it to prosperity once again. We were once the richest county in Canada, and now we are the second poorest in Quebec. This is unacceptable, and we deserve much better. My family, the Brysons, contributed to building the Pontiac with lumbering, the Bank of Ottawa, and 70 years of government in Quebec. I've lived in the Pontiac for 5 years, investing in creating jobs. I see the Pontiac's potential. I have municipal experience in Toronto as a school trustee and as a city councillor. I focused on budget, waste management, and social issues. I've had revitalization experience in rural Newfoundland. I am committed to becoming bilingual. I sit on 3 Pontiac committees: the Economic SWAT Team, the MRC Investment Committee, and Pontiac Tourism. I started a petition to reconstruct the Red Bridge for vehicles, and fortunately we've received $9 million, and we hope the work is going to begin soon. I also presented a plan for a swimming pool in the Pontiac, and it was approved in principle by 18 mayors. Currently there's a status quo complacency, and we need energetic change with urgency. In this campaign, I've met with 18 municipalities to find out what their 3 priorities are. If elected, I would suggest a 4-year plan, including some of these. My platform spells Pontiac: P, prosperity; O, opportunities; N, natural resources, forestry and mining; T, tourism; I, infrastructure; A, agriculture; and C, connections. We need to give a stronger voice to the people we serve through more consultation and evening meetings. We need to stabilize and increase our population through enabling youth to stay in the Pontiac for education connecting to jobs. And we need to look at building housing for seniors like Villa James Shaw, so they can also remain. Time for action and results. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Charlotte. I don't have to say my last name. I think everybody knows me. Who am I? I'm a down-to-earth administrator. I am somebody that arrived here in '86 to rebuild the health services and create jobs. When I finished, we had 500 workers in the health services. We had created a community service that are still there, that is creating jobs. And I was involved in the municipal creation of SADC, the first, or CDE, the first economic development organization at the MRC. And I'm a down-to-earth worker. I know the municipalities, I know the region, I know the Pontiac. I live in here in the Pontiac, I thrive in the Pontiac, and I love the Pontiac. And I know that I can do the job, so we don't have ever to hear again, what does the MRC does? What do you do with the money? I know how to give back to the people. What are the programs? What are the project? Who is involved? What is the cost? And have a schedule. Why is it working? Why is it not working? The people have the right to know where the money goes. And foremost, the money comes from the municipalities, so they are the ones that have the power. The elected warden is somebody that is there to help them, not to do what they can do. We have a lot of potential. We just have to look what we did with the community and the organization that are still there, that creates a lot of jobs, and those are jobs that people are still working at. So we have to take care of our people. They know what they need. They know how to work at it, and those are the ones creating the jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. So the first question will start with Mr. DeRoche. The second question will start with Mr. Frechette, and so on. So the first question. MRC Pontiac is one of the very poorest in Quebec. What opportunities do you see, and what measures would you take to attract more employment opportunities to the Pontiac?
Well, it's very simple. Since 2009, I had the chance to represent the MRC Pontiac on a great platform on the regional basis and the provincial basis. Everybody talks that we are poor. The problem is that we forget too often to look at our advantages, our potential. Since 2009, and especially since 2014, we broke the status quo mentality. We're thinking out of the box. We have 5 sectors in the MRC Pontiac that we could take advantage, and there's a lot more. There's not only tourism. Agriculture right now is one of the biggest potential. Forestry, the MRC since 2014 brought up a major plan for the biomass since the closure of the mill. Now we have a non-profit organization that is building on that. The question of status quo, I totally agree with everybody. It should not exist, and I stated publicly more than once. We must have confidence. We could blame the MRC where the money is coming from. But I can tell you, for the last 4 years, the lowest budget in the province of Quebec, 14 cents per 100 on shares, because for services that local municipality cannot afford alone. And more than 50% of our budget is investment money that we have to fight for. And we're still short over $1.5 million right now, and we're fighting to get it. We have sectorial agreements. We built on progress, on partnership. We're not selling out the Pontiac.
We do have to look at opportunities. Opportunities within, but as well trying to get people to notice us and to come in and bring us some opportunities as well. We have to work in partnership with our already existing and supporting them businesses, like in the forestry and transformation, agriculture, food and services. We have to look at different elements as well to renew sectors that were once thriving in the region. Talk about mining. There are as well emerging sectors that we have to look at as well and be open to trying and get interest for the Pontiac region. For example, green energy, new ways of doing business, some call centers, research centers, whatever. We have to be open. We already have partnerships and structures in place. The MRC is working with the GTI, with a group of folks that are business owners, people from different departments, as well as partners outside of those segments. We have to make sure that we don't implode. The more we look at ourselves, the more we look at the different businesses that we have and do not try to open up, we will implode. We can't do it alone. We have to be open to suggestion and possibilities. Social economy structures, non-profit organizations, cooperatives that already exist in Pontiac and could as well be thriving with new opportunities. So we have to look at sustainable business and opportunities that will work for us. Thank you.
My view is that we need to do a number of different things. We need to have a multi-pronged approach. I think first of all, we need to support our workforce that are currently part of our economic engine and are supporting our local businesses that are actually traveling to employment centers that are outside of our MRC. I think we need to look at people that are working in Pembroke, Cobden, Arnprior, Renfrew, and in Ottawa. I think a prime example of some of the areas I'd like to make better would be the 148. If any of you have driven it, it's a monster these days, and you're having delays of 30 minutes, 35 minutes to go in each direction, and you're adding a real burden to people who are actually commuting. So those are the simple things that we should have a clout with 126 politicians. We should be able to work with our provincial counterparts to try to immediately alleviate those kinds of problems that we see within the system. Clearly, the things that I see there is that they're not grading it properly, they're not bringing in, if they're not living up to the terms of their contracts, they would need to be working on weekends. They could be doing longer hours of work. So those are the sort of things I would be able to negotiate. Some of the other things is I think we need to have a better market share of the we have large employment centers that are immediately adjacent to us. And I know from sitting as the chair of OC Transport, there are jobs we couldn't find. And so I'd like to be able to work more partnerships with adjacent municipalities and get our workers to have more of a part of that. Plus also support and shop locally.
I think we need to review how we got here. When the Portage Mill closed, 300 jobs were lost and 40 other businesses closed as a result. We've lost about 4,000 people since that time. And since that time, I've heard of a lot of missed opportunities. And I would think that we need to be open to every possible opportunity, go back and even contact some of those large companies that wanted to locate here. We need to support and work with our existing entrepreneurs. I have some thoughts on forestry. I think for our revitalization, it's important because of our history. Renfrew County wants to work with us. They'd like to partner in a pulp mill. Quebec as a province is in desperate need of more pulp mills. Mining is about 5 or 6 years around the corner in Calumet and Waltham. We can attract new farmers by adopting a special status where we can relax some of the requirements with zoning and environment that are obstacles right now. And I also see the opportunity to change the regulation that you have to be a resident and own land for 1 year before you can become a farmer. I'm excited about the opportunity of expanding CEGEP here, and we can keep our youth and then partner with businesses for stages in all sectors to allow our youth to be able to go right into jobs. We have our economic SWAT team that is apparently going to continue for a number of years, and it has an unlimited amount of money. What we're looking for are good business cases. Thank you.
I think that we have to look at all the sectors that we have. I'll start with the health services. I think what we have to do as a community is to support the doctors that were working very hard to get new doctors in. The minute we have new doctors, I think it's important that we have a greeting committee for those doctors, which could include the mayor, the educational services, because most of the time when we meet them, what they want is are the school system, where the housing and stuff like that. So I think that's important. The other sector that is very important, especially here in this part of the MRC, is the agriculture. And we have to maintain the supply management, which is very in a dangerous move right now with the United States, but we have to keep diversifying our agriculture. Greenhouse production. There's no reason we don't have more greenhouse in the Pontiac because we have a lot of space to have greenhouse. We have to increase the hog production because there's a shortage worldwide of hogs. People drink too much beer. We have to help to get the farm back to the families. It's important, and at the same time have housing for those new families.
Thank you, candidates. The next one, we're going to start with Mr. Fouchette.
Rebuttal?
Oh, rebuttals.
So, do we go?
If there's anyone...
It's open?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a few things that I heard that kind of surprised me. Before looking for expertise outside, I think of the province, I think it's important that we look within the MRC if we have that expertise. And I'm sure that we do have expertise in the field of agriculture and the fields of forestry. We look after that in the Outaouais with our MRC partners close by and with the different central points like Gatineau and whatnot. We then look to the province, and we have partners, as I said nowadays, a great partner for us. He's got authority now. It's going to be interesting to enjoy it, to work with. Change regulations. In 1 year, there's going to be a provincial election. So I don't know how we're going to be working on changing things that protect basically the environment and sustain the environment and whatnot in the next 4 years.
Okay, thank you. I'm really glad you brought up this point. It allows me to give the example. MRC Papineau actually had a special status so that they could kickstart more agriculture, and it is possible to have this special status. And I really believe in learning from best practices. Where something succeeds somewhere else, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. And with forestry, the special status was another MRC, and this is what I really advocate for: cutting and transformations in one region, not cutting in one region and then it's transformed somewhere else.
Special status, I could say right now, and I could lie because we're already in discussion with the UPA and the MAPAC for agriculture at the MRC Pontiac sectorial agreement. And when I hear the word pulp mill, this is a way of the past. Let's look at new technologies.
Ms. Davis?
Yes, I think that we also have to be really cognizant of what's going on in the world right now. And in fact, forestry is all great and well to sit and try and promise jobs in that sector, but right now with what's going on with the free trade agreement, we already had problems with our lumber sales. So now what we're seeing is, and on a daily basis, as it's unfolding, it's going to be causing an economic ripple across our country.
Ms. Lepine?
I want to talk about forestry. I think we have to think out of the box.
Yep.
2 years ago, they sent architects to go back to learn how to use wood in the construction. I think if we have a committee working on forestry, if we go and get designers, because they were using more and more wood in the constructions and the design in the big apartment, they could tell us how we could use the woods that we have, because we have the best forests in the Quebec.
The end of the first rebuttal, so we'll move on to the second one. Good thing you guys are on top of this. Wow. So this one's for Mr. Frechette. When it comes to the near-surface disposal site at the Chalk River Nuclear Plant, what concerns you the most about the project, if anything?
No, as I said, and I mentioned before, there's a lot of questions still to be answered. It's nice for CNL to tell us that everything is going to be fine and dandy in 100 years, 200, 500 years, and whatnot. It concerns me. It should concern all of us. But in order for us to take an enlightened decision, we need to get all the information that's required to make sure that we have all angles covered and well appreciated. I'll go back to what William MS has been saying, and some of us may disagree with this, but he's got a background as an environmentalist lawyer. And basically what he's telling us, if we hear correctly, is that come and get the information from the Safety Commission. Come and participate to the open hearings on the subject. And he too has concerns, but he wants to get the word from the Commission of Security. You've seen, you've read, and you have understood that there's going to be a period for the CNL to provide all the information that's missing for us to have an enlightened view about the whole situation. I have concerns. I have concerns as a citizen, not as a warden candidate. But at the end of the day, the Commission will hear CNL sometime in July, get their information, and will have to take a position, an enlightened one. I am not an expert in the field, but like all of us here, I have great concern about the whole situation. So I'm expecting answers to very delicate questions.
As most people are aware, the MRC Pontiac has actually passed a motion that says that they oppose, as it is currently proposed, for the what's happening at Chalk River. So having that already as our foundation, obviously we require more information. One of my contracts was with the Canadian Environmental Network, and I would really love to see an independent body come in and be able to look and see and challenge some of the findings. We are all at a great disadvantage to not be scientists in the environment and to simply rely on a consultant's report that's been paid for. I would love to have an independent person be able to give us a read of this. Also, this may come to be a challenge down the road. I'd like to see partnerships. When I was in the city of Ottawa, I started working with a group to get the Ottawa River Keeper. So getting the other municipalities that are downstream, on Prior, getting everyone that's involved, Renfrew, everyone that's involved, that we all share this river. We all need to make sure that there's no disaster, there's no emergency that would happen. At the meeting on Thursday, the all candidates meeting, we were made aware that we did not have an emergency plan in place within the MRC Pontiac, that they're working on it and it would be available within a year. So right now, if something urgent and catastrophic actually happened, we do not have a plan in play. So that really concerns me. So with the two factors together, I think that we need to follow the lead, work with our Member of Parliament, and I think with a cabinet minister at the provincial level, we're very well suited. Thank you.
So you asked what in particular concerns me. It's the quality of the waste, the importing of it, and it would be the first open landfill style of nuclear waste. And this could be Canada's first permanent nuclear waste disposal site. I think, too, that people in the Pontiac have been concerned for quite a while about the quality of the water in the Ottawa River anyways, because we know there's a statistic that says that the Pontiac has the highest rate of cancer, and we're not exactly sure what's causing it. But Dr. Keon did do a study that did relate it to the Ottawa River. So I think that I applaud the MRC for supporting the opposition, and I also think Ottawa Riverkeeper has done a lot of great work on this. We need a technical, science-based analysis. I agree with Linda, it should be independent, not someone within CNL. The results won't be known until 2018. This has to be taken very seriously because 5 million people are drinking the water from the Ottawa River, and it's not just drinking water, we're bathing in it as well. And I just think that more pressure should be put on CNL to come up with either an alternative or something that will not have an impact on our river.
I agree with my colleagues saying that we should have an independent evaluation of a nuclear dump in Chalk River, and we should say no to it. It doesn't matter. A couple of years ago, I went with doctors to visit Chalk River, and we could see already that there was a big problem because there was drainage of water, contaminated water. And we have to have it independent. And the other thing I think the Pontiac could really get on the map to be the leader, to tell the people from where it starts till and go down to Montreal to say we're going to have a problem eventually with our water because what's going on. I think we cannot just wait for what the NCR is going to say or whatever, because they're doing their own evaluation. I don't know if you are aware, eventually a couple of years ago they were transferring muck from Russia that they kept, and it's there, it's still there. So it's a dangerous site, and it's an old site, and it's a dangerous site. If you talk to the people that work there, they'll tell you that eventually they had to stop and go and rest for a while, and those are people from around that were working there, and they would look for other jobs because their health was going, and they're younger people. So we have to say no, and we have to get organized and not stop.
The issue is not going to go away because there's a major problem even with the near surface site. We still have a problem with Chalk River. But what a lot of people are not saying, every waterway in the Pontiac right now, Cologne, Zouane, Ottawa River, there's cadmium in it. Here is. One of the major causes for cancer in the Pontiac, it's not only water, it's radon gases. We have to put measures in front to make sure that people know those details. For the site, no way. We can't believe and we cannot trust the technology today for 150 years from now. The position there is very clear at the MRC. It's no and go back to the drawing board. Because of what? If we want to grow as a region, we want to prosper, we can't put anything in our backyard. I remember one discussion with these people. There's a sector in the MRC Pontiac, the west. There was a major leak, radioactive leak at Chalk River. The only response they could offer for the people was they were considered as an acceptable loss. And that is shameful. Now at least they're in the program, and if something happens, they get the medication.
Move on.
Just one small correction. I think they've said for 300 years, not 150 years, so that's even a worse estimate.
Ms. Davis?
I think we need to go a little bit further than that. Many of us that's one of the strengths that we have as a diverse community. We have people that are within the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, the Green Party, whatever party you come from, and we can actually bring pressure to be brought to bear on the Minister of the Environment. I have connections in Ottawa. I have certain people, and I worked in an environmental network that will in fact find lawyers that will do pro bono work for us. There's also intervenor funding that if it comes to this, that we have to go and do a challenge. I've led a challenge to the Supreme Court of Canada on an environmental issue in the past. So these are the sort of experiences that I can bring and help on this issue to get
Mr.
facts.
Boucher?
Yeah, we're already talking about in a unified voice. I think we all agree. There's concerns, there's questions. Independent bodies, la Commission de la Sécurité Nucléaire, Nuclear Safety Commission is an independent body. They are working on this. They will be hearing us. They are already concerned about the whole situation. They said it about the dump. They said that the way it's structured already by CNL, they won't accept it. So it's a good sign. So there are signs out there that things are going and that they're going to be active.
Ms. Tolbert?
And I think that, considering our proximity to Ontario, sometimes we think that there's a big boundary down the middle of that river, but it's the same water, and we need to work in collaboration with Ontario. There are a lot of there will be a lot of support to help us on the other side as well, because whatever affects us is affecting Ontario.
Ms. Lepia?
I think we really have to mobilize the population, and not just from the Pontiac. We have to mobilize them all the way with the river keepers, because even if they analyze it, even if they say it's secure and this and that, we won't win if they don't feel that the people are behind, that they're not accepting it. We just have to see what's went on with the pipeline. People were there and it's not going to go through. So that's how we have to do with that problem, because that means we'll lose whatever we have right now if they let them go.
Thank you. So this third question will be starting with you, Ms. Davis. What are your views on the economic potential of tourism for the Pontiac? What are the opportunities to be seized, and what are the challenges to be overcome?
Tourism has been long touted as being one of our key opportunities because of the wealth of land and beautiful facilities and opportunities that we can afford. I think our proximity to very large economic centers, I think when you look at the Vision 2020 and what you see is the plans of the numbers of people that are actually coming from outside of the province and are coming into our area, I think we have much more opportunity in that area. I think we need a better coordination. I think we need to move towards having centralized events so that we have a calendar so that people are understanding what's available and we're not conflicting with each other, that there are several. We do run into problems, of course, because the summer has limited numbers of weekends and limited numbers of opportunities for that. But in order to get it out, I think we need to do a marketing job. I think we have to have an MRC Pontiac website that's just about what's happening in the Pontiac. I also think we need to actually get together more as a community. I think we need to support what's happening in Shinborough, and I think when Bristol's doing something, I think we should be trying to mobilize internally to get people to the dog sleds. We need to start working together more and supporting each other's communities and different events. So I think tourism can be looking outside, but I think there's a great potential from within. I think that we are missing opportunities to sort of work together as a community because of our large geographic distances. And I think we need to find ways to break down those barriers and make us work more together as a unified community. Thank you.
When the Portage Mill closed, we were promised tourism, and unfortunately no money was given. And I think you'd agree tourism can't replace 300 jobs. But what I would like to say is that we can be the destination for adventure tourism, and we are fortunate to offer all kinds of activity 12 months of the year. We have some amazing festivals. We have our Shovel Agricultural Fair, which brings more people than anything in the Pontiac. We also have the Oktoberfest, which occurred recently. Unfortunately, our two biggest attractions are, this would be a bit of a limitation, with our Red Bridge is closed. It's been closed since 2013, soon to open, we hope. And the Chute Lunge experienced quite a a big storm in 2013. We need a 4-year business plan, and we can apply for money through CDEC. That's something we're working on right now. And we also need separate funds from Tourism Outaouais, because right now we're under their umbrella and all the money is being spent in Gatineau. And in my opinion, seen one city, seen them all. Urban tourism is on the way down. Rural tourism is where the experiences are and where people can really connect with people of the Pontiac. We need to work with our artists and musicians. We need more accommodation. And I have a plan that in many of our villages, there either is closed accommodation that could be reopened or we need to build new. We have started to see a lot of Europeans come. This is a big opportunity, and some of us are working in the Pontiac as a unit to lengthen the stay from 1 night to 2 or 3.
I think tourism is a way to create a lot of jobs. If the big city puts around $80 million every year for tourism, that means it's because it's a lot of jobs. We have a lot of activities going on. The problem, like Jane was saying, we need coordination because it's either 2 or 3 big activities on the same weekend and then the 2 have almost nothing to do. We have to offer a year-round activities, 1 every month, 1 big one. We have a lot of potential. I was looking into, we'll talk about the school in Pontiac. Stonehouse in Pontiac. That school exists. They still have their paper as a school board. It's one of the oldest. That could become an art school full-time. We could get kids from out of the county to come and study there. We have to have tours. 1-day tour where people go and visit different activities, the Victoria House in Charleville, a farm. There could be the Red Bridge, it could be the house in Fort Coulonge, or a 2-day tour, people who need lodging. So it's a lot of potential. We have to get after Tourism Pontiac or Tourism Ottawa to get back the money that comes back to us. They use us as people, as stats. They have more money, but we don't get the money back. So we really have to fight that to get us back to us.
Well, everybody's talking about our potential, and the potential is there. But the best sale for a region is who? Not the people coming to visit us, it's the people living in it. If we believe in ourselves, we can promote ourselves. One factor, and tonight is a chosen proof, the MRC has been working for the last 4 years, and I know it, on tourism. And we put a lot of things in place on those potential. Last year, on the bus in Gatineau, Tourist Outaouais, Tourist Pontiac, and the MRC, we had a sign on the bus in the city showing where we are and what is our potential. Just last year, the Pontiac was part of a group in partnership with other MRCs and the city of Gatineau. We have a tourist route now in the Pontiac. Nobody's promoting it. La Route Bleue, the little blue sign on the side of the highway, is a tourist route. First one in la région de l'Outaouais, and the Pontiac is included. We should build on that.
We'll do it after. You good? All right. The opportunities exist already. We have strong in place tourism activities, and I do agree a calendar is required. I even mentioned it Tuesday. Tourism Ottawa is just a tool. They have limitations as to what they can bring to us necessarily. So we have to look within. If you look at the Commission Scolaire des Hauts-Bois, they have a course on tourism industry. Why don't we emphasize on that and work with that with the Commission Scolaire in cooperation with Western and whatnot? Let's build a future with new entrepreneurs. How? Well, there's the Pôle d'économie sociale de l'Outaouais. Sorry, I don't know the name in English. But those create non-profit organizations, a cooperative. They sponsor new businesses. They provide funds, expertise. The SADC is one partner as well that we can look at and get investment in the field of tourism. SADC with Investment Quebec as well. There's possibilities out there. If people want to create jobs, create new tourism enterprises, it's out there. It's just for us to reach and get it necessarily and to work with our internal and outside partners. Agroalimentaire, The tourism industry keeps forgetting agroalimentaire. We're talking about festival and calendar, but agroalimentaire is a great field. $27 million from our agricultural world in the Pontiac. That's a lot of money coming in. So we have to look at the river route, but we have to look as well historic route. We have a ton of historic sites and information that could be passed on. Let's diversify.
Rebuttals? Ms. Toller, I saw your hand up earlier.
Yes, thank you. Just a note on the Chemin de l'Eau. That is $600,000 that Tourism Midway is spending just on a blue and white sign campaign in 5 years. And what's really not working is it says fin, it stops right at the Chute Calange. So Îles Allumettes is not even involved. Sheenborough, Chichester, Oiseau Rock, Fort William, not even included. And that's just an example of why we need to have our own funding for our own plan in the Pontiac, because we have a culture. We have a culture of based on lumbering. We've sort of chosen the lumberjack theme. But the point is, hunting and fishing, our outfitters are thriving, 120 of them, and we need to have our own ability to create and market from our own source of funding, not a few crumbs from Tourism Midway.
Ms. Davis? I'll ask, just hold your applause until after the rebuttal series, please.
Okay. I'm sort of the poster pinup child of someone who was returned to the Pontiac because my grandparents and great-grandparents and ancestors settled here. I think that there's a missed opportunity, that there's so much, as my grandparents have passed away, there's so much information that there's a longing to go back to where our homes were, or our family homes were, what our parents did. My daughter recently married a man with a family farm in Litchfield. We did the family, it was the first time in that farm had been in the family for 150 years. There was a marriage there. We hired all of our local producers. We had our restaurants, we had our caterers, we had horses drawn, we had tourism through the bushes with all of the beautiful horses drawing. We spent literally $20,000, $30,000 we dropped into the Pontiac immediately. And there's that longing, there's that wish. When you live away from here and you've been brought up by your grandparents to love coming home to the Pontiac, I think we're really missing a great opportunity for tourism, is bring it back, have our family reunions.
Mr. Bouchette?
I keep hearing a lot of good things, but at the same time, a lot of negative things tonight. We're all saying a lot of things are not working. Why can't we say that a lot of things could be working better? We can look at at enhancing what we have. There's opportunities and options. I've mentioned them often enough. The MRC has a great role. Can we do the business better at the MRC? For sure. Stop the negatives. Let's look forward. Let's be innovative. Let's look at creating. And I've given some examples of where we can create. So let's be positive.
Ms. Lapierre, go ahead.
I agree with Pierre. We have a lot of potential. I was looking at the people we have. We just have to think about the paintings, the painters that opens their door once a year. We just have to look at the pottery. If you go at the MRC, there's an artist that is building furniture that is beautiful. There's no reason that we cannot use those things.
Thank you, candidates.
Now they can clap.
Now you can clap. Okay, so the next question will be starting with Ms. Toller. With more than 122 council seats throughout the Pontiac, would any of you support amalgamation initiatives if residents expressed an interest in it?
Well, you said the key thing, if residents expressed an interest in it. I do know that the provincial government of Quebec will not enforce any amalgamation because of what happened in Montreal. I was part of the amalgamation in Ontario when Mike Harris made the 6 municipalities that are now the mega city of Toronto amalgamate, and I saw, the benefits and the downside. I think that what is important at this point, we need some stability here in the Pontiac. It's not the time to start forcing or suggesting amalgamations. Eventually, if the residents want it, because it's going to save money and avoid duplication and we can work together, yes, then it makes sense. But right now, As I said to the mayors when I presented the idea about the pool, I said, you're not amalgamated, but you need to act like you are so that we can have a strong Pontiac and we can be a force, in Quebec City and Ottawa. What works against us is when the municipalities are competing with each other and not working together. Every municipality has a strength. I know that there's a study right now going on with fire services. Well, that makes sense. They're all cooperating and working together anyways. And, one fire truck is $350,000. That's a big chunk out of one of those municipal budgets. So I would be in favor of looking at amalgamation. First of all, if the people of the Pontiac are asking for it, and also there have been 3 studies done if there was solid proof that money could be saved and benefit to the Pontiac.
The decision lies in the hands of the municipality.